I do not hear
I
you closely.
let's just say I've only done one generator.
How did you not see me? Dude, you literally.
My perk's not working.
Oh my god.
I have the thing.
Teleported.
I have like the Iron Man perk. It's called like this Metal Man or something. It didn't work.
Oh, you
You mean
look so
Iron
cool.
Will?
Can I get a screenshot
No,
of
it's
that
called
real
Metal.
quick? Hold
It's
on.
called
Can I get a
Metal
screenshot?
Man.
Can I get a
Bro,
screenshot?
you can't. It doesn't put me in the dying state.
Yo,
It's like it never
yo,
happened.
look,
I have
can I get a
no idea
screenshot
what
of you?
you're
Can I get a screenshot of you? Hold
Oh,
on.
it's called Metal Man.
Why?
You look really cool. I'm a
How do
PlayStation
I look at my own
photographer.
perks? How do I look at my
Wait,
own
I gotta go behind you. Hold on.
This
Hold
let
on.
him
I
get
gotta view. Give me a second. Wait, no, there's way too close.
Please get him.
Alright, that's good. Stay in
You
that
please get
position.
him. Awesome. Come get him.
Alright, let me just text my friend real quick. Alright, then you can kill me. Alright, there you go.
Awesome. Come get him.
You know, horror movie. You just tell the killer to, hey, can you stop 1 second? I need to text my boyfriend real quick.
Awesome.
Mom walks in, hey son, I followed you on all your social media.
And then the
You know, I
killer
thought that
just,
barbecue
like,
and chili would
pops
show
up
me
a
where
Geico
he
merch.
is. So that means
Just like
he's
a
actually
Geico
kind of
thing.
close to you.
The killer just says save
Where is
50% more on
he?
car insurance, and just kills you
Over
after.
here. Nope, not over here.
Yeah, he is.
Dude, you have barbecue and chili. How can you not see him? He's right next to him. Jesus God, I'm sorry for ratting you out, but how? You have barbecue and chili. You should be able to see it.
No, I
What?
can't see him if he's right next to you. I
Come
won't be
get
able
me.
to see him. Where the fuck did you go? Why are you so black?
You're the
Who,
one
me?
wearing the.
Hey! Oh, okay, I'm a
You said
forehead.
no one likes
That
it.
does not work on me, good sir.
Oh, that's not.
That does not work on me, good sir. Although I am lagging really bad. But that's fine, because that won't hurt me at all. Dude, where's my lunch?
I got your lunch.
No,
pull my
it's the
pants down
nurse's
real quick.
fucking... I shouldn't even have hit you there. It's the nurse's fucking auto-aim. I wish you could take it off. It fucks with, like, everything. Ugh, I'm so bad.
Hey, bro, where you at? I'll give you this booty. You know you want this afro-headed piece of shit.
I just have one question. Do you have nurses calling on?
Yeah.
I'm a nurse.
Oh, then I'm screwed.
Can you just come kill me? We all know you know that.
You just take off the main thing of the person.
Dude, what the fuck? Why won't it let me blink through floors? That is so dumb. Oh no! Fuck, my cooling.
Can't blink through floors anymore, it's trash.
I'm really bad, don't mind me. Don't mind me at all. I like how I talk so much shit, and then I run into this game with the complete wrong add-ons, and I act like a forehead. Is that dead hard? Or was
Yeah,
I
so
just
I'm
really
I'm doing
bad?
pretty bad. I'm doing pretty
Yeah.
bad, actually.
Are you guys doing any generators?
I was, but it's kind of hard whenever you got him.
I have 2.5, cause I had enough. Wasn't really.
Oh,
doing
I thought
anything.
for sure you'd jump over that pallet. Damn it.
I got one generator. And
Yeah, I have
4
I have-
seconds.
Okay, I have 2.5. So if there's like,
I'm bad at this game. Shut up.
Yo, how about you go away?
Dude, I'm so bad.
How about you get away from me?
Oh, awesome, awesome move. What?
I wasn't aware that I was next to see.
Awesome. You got the basement.
Did he just literally go into the basement?
Yes.
No,
No.
he's not in the
yes.
basement. He's not in the basement.
Awesome, awesome.
Hello.
I lost that position once. I don't know. Wait, don't
I
kill
just,
me,
I
don't
had to
kill
get
me.
used to these add-ons, because these
Wait,
add-ons
don't
are
kill me.
literal ass.
Oh,
Wait,
I
don't
love
kill me.
I
Wait,
see
don't
you,
kill
bro.
me. You're my dad. Please don't kill me. Actually, I'm.
Oh wait, I don't want to kill you. Fuck,
Yeah,
I didn't want to kill you at all. Wait, hold on.
Gotta be fucking
I'm the best player here. Okay.
Where did this dude go?
We were inside the closet.
let's just say I have.
You're
I have-
totally in here. You're totally fucking in here somewhere.
He's in the
I have-
closet. He's in a closet. He's in a closet.
I have
Sure
my
about
ways
that? I'm
of
in a
hiding.
closet.
Yeah, I always saw you go into a closet.
You sure it was it? You sure it was him?
Literally none of you are in the basement. Fuck you.
I'm in the basement, bro. What are you talking
I need to
about?
find help. Find help.
I mean, I'm not in the basement. Sorry.
Don't wait. Don't do it. You're my dad.
I always have my ways of hiding. I'm a really good hider when I see killers. But you have
Don't
to
come in the basement, please.
Ghost, come up here.
You're not in the
please. I'm
basement. I
down.
was literally just there.
I can see you. You were in the closet. Oh my god, he was. I told you he was in the closet. I just saw him come out.
I checked every fucking
No,
closet.
my
I
god,
literally
he was in the
double-checked.
closet. He was in the closet.
No,
He was
I
in the
wasn't.
closet. He was in the closet. He just came out of the closet. Wait, Dad. Wait.
Oh, I
I'm
just
outta
found
here.
2 survivors. Alright.
Dad.
Well, let me get rid of
Oh,
one
see,
first.
He's over here. He's over here. He's right here.
I know where he
Don't
is.
kill me. Don't kill me.
Well, who is?
Wait, don't kill me. Kill him.
Kill him.
I have
Kill
no-
him.
I have no
Have no
kids.
mercy.
Dude,
Have
what
no
the
mercy.
fuck was that blink?
He's trash.
Where are y'all? You in the hole?
Why
Oh
me?
god, I'm so trash right now.
I'm your son too, you know.
No, he literally was in the closet. I told you. he
I
was in-
checked every
saw him.
closet,
No,
dude.
I saw him go from the wall. I saw him go from the closet. And then
That blink was really good, actually.
He came out of it.
Dude, having to get used to these add-ons is so fucking gay. Why did I ever put these on?
Maybe you're trying to.
I added a
Maybe you're
chain
trying to
link
prove
and like
that you're
increased
good.
chart.
Maybe you're trying to prove
No,
that
because
you're good
like
at putting
these
on
were my
black
defaults that I used before, so I thought I'd be comfortable with them. But these are really fucking ass.
Ghost, I'm behind you.
Okay.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. I've actually never escaped on this map. Because I hate it so much. Wait, Dad, are you gonna kill me? Wait! How? I just stopped. Wait, Dad. Kill him! Wait, no, Dad! I'm dead.
Where's the
Yes,
last
you are,
guy?
good sir.
Dad, I can't believe you killed me. I only died because Austin wouldn't get me. It took him like 20 minutes just to grab me
Oh,
off the
there
hood.
is the last one.
Oh, one of you ran towards me.
Mystic, go to an exit. You gotta complete a generator.
Sure. You know he can hear you. He's gonna be a generator. I know. That's
I know both
Oh
generators
my
that even
gonna
go.
step on that, dude. Austin, why do you have that flashlight? You're bad. You're not. Okay, yeah, good job. Put it down.
Dude,
You put it
fucking
down.
such a fucking ass. You gotta eat your ass.
Where should I put you?
Ah, please, don't do this shit. No, don't put me there if anything. That's an embarrassing spot. Oh my god, I hate this fucking spot. I swear to god. every
Alright,
single-
Austin, do you want to tell me where you are?
He's in the basement of the house.
No, he isn't. No,
He's
he
not in the
isn't.
basement because I would have seen him.
So he's inside of the basement.
No, he isn't.
He's inside of the basement. He's working on the generator inside of the basement. Now he's going
No, he
upstairs.
isn't.
There's,
At the house. What about
there's
the
no
red truck?
fucking generator in the
Yes, there
basement, you
is.
forehead.
Dude, I swear to God.
Keep
No,
talking,
you're
baby.
somewhere around here.
No, I swear to God. I don't even care about Austin. Yes,
No,
that
he
house
doesn't.
right
I know.
here. That house. He was in that basement.
He's still in
You
the
don't see
basement.
anything.
He's in the
You don't
basement.
see anything. Dang it.
No, come on.
I don't even know how I won against you guys, honestly. I was literally sucking ass.
Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar.
That was a horrible debut for my nerds, but hey, it's whatever. Let me go,
Allah
actually.
Akbar. Can you at least come close to me? Please. Please see me die.
Oh, I can teleport through floors.
So I can
Alright.
haunt me.
Dude, I'm not playing. I don't really like it. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big killer fan.
You don't like playing killer?
Oh, I do.
Painkiller is terrible.
I don't like doing anything with your friends.
200 links.
I can't do anything because I swear. However, I play. Yeah, I'm just gonna play on that. I don't know any good perks. I don't know any good perks to put on for a killer. Because my killer's a really low level, so I don't play. I don't know. I like Survivor better though.
The Survivor is so much better. It's so much
Yeah,
more
I
intense.
like that better. Alright, I'll play Killer. Who should I play?
It's like PvP, people playing PvE. That's how I feel.
Dude, I'm gonna play the worst killer in the whole game.
Who is it? Michael Myers?
Dude, he's like the best.
Dude, he's not even that good.
Legion is currently the worst. Freddy is the second worst.
Freddy? Second worst?
They're pretty really bad. I was gonna play Freddy, but I don't want to play Freddy.
Freddy's not really bad.
Dude,
he
the
can
clown?
turn
I
into
never
a
see
freaking
anyone
your
play the
ass.
clown.
Freddy,
I'm
it's
never-
awful.
Dude, if anything, what's that person's name? Hold on, I'm gonna go to the
What
killer
does the
shit.
clown even do?
The clown? Oh my god, he's OP.
He's awful.
He's OP though. I like him.
Only OP if you know what you're doing with him, which nobody
Who
does.
should I play? Who should I play? I'm not
Myers.
good with anyone.
Someone know,
I'm
some of you know how
good
to
at
play.
shit. Well, he's kind of bad. Like, I don't know.
The
like,
Trapper. That's who's
I
really
suck
bad.
at
The
Trapper.
Trapper.
I do play Trapper a bit.
Trapper sucks ass.
I don't know any good perks. Like, I'm just gonna
He's
put,
a
like,
bot.
Trappers on.
Who just left?
Me.
Who left? Why'd you leave?
I want
I'll
to see the
invite him back.
killers list.
Always play the Plague.
have
Cannibal,
a
he's
plan.
pretty fast. He's fast. The Nightmare, he's good. I like Freddy.
Freddy,
He's
it's the
good.
worst fucking killer.
Tell me good perks, please. I don't know any good perks.
Trapper's literally garbage.
That
as hell.
Okay.
I don't
Good
know.
killer perks.
Wait, accidentally.
Okay, so first of all, if you want to identify a good killer, you always have to know this one question. You always have to answer a single question. Does the ability help in the chase? If the answer is yes, it's a really good killer. If the
What did
answer
you
is
say
maybe,
about Michael?
it's a halfway decent killer.
What about Michael?
If the answer is no, it's a bad killer.
I think Michael would be
In
good. 'cause
Michael's
whenever-
situation, he's a
Sounds good.
mid-tier killer. He's
Dude,
a
he's
maybe
terrible.
because he's conditional. You have to stalk survivors, and
Yeah,
if you're on
That's what
level
I'm saying.
2 and you're almost at level 3 with his Evil Within, when you pop, level 3, his ability helps in the chase because you prevent the chase from even happening.
Yes, dude, I know. See,
With killers like the Pig, she's a very bad killer. She's not too far from Michael Myers. She's still like a mid-tier-ish killer, because she still has her crouch, which is a good thing.
See, I'm like really bad. though.
But her goal is to like delay the survivors enough for her to get as many hooks as possible to put pressure on them.
What is that block? You guys,
Uh,
like, I've seen a video today where the guy was like Z block or Q block. What is it called? What does that
This
do?
the C block
Z block. What does that do? Is that a,
I don't
is that a
that
perk?
allows
You guys can't change my mind.
No, it's not a perk.
Huntress
It's an
is the
add-on.
best killer.
Okay.
You guys can't change my
With
mind.
Freddy, it allows the dream's transition to happen like 1.5 seconds faster. So it would be 5.5 seconds until the dream transition instead of 7.
You guys can't
'Cause
change
I
my
knew that
mind.
was a thing. Dim sum is last. Cause I don't really play. Survivors.
You guys can't change my mind. The Huntress is the best killer.
He's okay.
Huntress is tied for the best killer with Nurse. But it depends because the Nurse, she's fucking powerful.
Yeah, it's unfair too.
It's
Well, I
unfair
think
if you play against a really good Nurse. If you play against a good Huntress though, you can still beat her if you're really good. But if she's really
Dude, don't
good, you
invite
barely
me.
got a
I gotta
chance.
go anyway. So
Here we go. Okay, here we go.
the
You ready, Alon?
the doctor is like hella OP.
Don't know.
The Doctor
was
is
really
a
OP.
simple
He's really
hero to play. But he's only really powerful if he has the iridescent head. Otherwise, he's barely that strong.
I've seen a gameplay of the Plague, but
Did I
The
even
Plague
know
is a very weak killer.
it is weak.
She basically infects you,
not an
or her
it, it's
goal
a
is to
she.
infect you.
She
Well, yeah, she basically infects you. Her goal is to infect you, enough to
With what,
damage you or
Walmart?
weaken you.
Okay, I saw that video.
Basically, when you cleanse yourself of this pool, she can absorb that, and then her puke does damage, so she can damage multiple survivors. It's broken. But at the same time, she's very weak. Her lunge isn't great. Her movement speed isn't great. She's a very basic killer without her ability. So if you can cut line of sight from her, which is very possible, it's very easy for you to get away from her.
What's the story behind the plague?
She was like a religious person, and then she... Oh. Of course
Listen.
you would use lullaby.
And then what?
How do you know?
Because when you're on a generator and you complete a skill check, it tells you that there's Hunter's lullaby.
She came of age, she attended high-ranking priests during
That's good
years
then,
of
that's a good
worshiping
perk.
as a secret.
It's a very good perk if you get it to work.
That's
There's
what I
only
want.
2 of us, by the way.
So what were you gonna say about the plague?
So is that good or no?
It's not good because you won't be able to get 5 hooks and then have it take effect.
Wait, what was the thing about the plague?
The plague only can take advantage of her perks. That's the only reason you should be able to use the plague, because she's
No, I'm talking about the
not
story.
that great overall. She was basically like this religious person who was chosen to be sacrificed or something like that. And then she went through this like horrible, gruesome ritual thing. And then she murdered everyone doing the ritual, who some of them were her friends and family. And then she became the plague with vomit and shit.
Ugh.
I'm really bad at this game. That's what I just want to know.
So, wait,
Yeah, something
so,
that's very easy to understand about the plague, it's just like the spirit. She's not powerful unless you use her perks.
wait, so she's not dead though. Like I'm confused.
No, the plague is not dead.
She's
Oh.
just burned.
She's like the hunter. She has eternal life.
Is that me? Is that Michael
Anything-
making that character?
Anything the entity touches has eternal life. Do you know why we're in Dead by Daylight going over the same thing over and over and over again?
Wait,
Ah!
eternal what? Wait, eternal life
Oh,
or
because
life?
this is.
The entity.
Because we're in an endless loop of the entity's game. Oh,
Listen,
Hold on,
I
I
suck
forgot.
at this, okay? I literally haven't seen anyone this whole entire game, okay? This is
I
easy
seen you
to
a lot. Wait, what is
Hold
that?
on, I
entity?
Yeah,
forgot
literally.
what's an entity?
the entity is basically, you
Like
know
a
those
demon.
things that try and kill you when you're on the hook, when you're struggling?
Yeah, I know
That's
those
the
are.
entity, that's its servant. The entity is basically the god of this game, right?
Mm.
Think of actual God like Jesus not being there. The entity is what is there, right? And in this world, the entity chooses contestants for this game, the survival game called Dead by Daylight, in which death and pain and misery is never an escape, because it's an eternal loop of you going through this contest over and over and over again with
Oh, that's
other
nice.
basically people. So like when you see more than one Claudette, there are 2 different types of Claudettes, you know, different time frames, different decisions that they made that affected their futures. They're part of the same life, but a different lifetime and a lifeline. It's very complicated to talk about, but
Oh.
there's so many different Claudettes that, you know, have evolved from one that came into this game. Now the contest is saying this is what Claudette would be like if she made this decision or that one. Or if you're playing Dwight, it's the same thing, right?
It's like the
The
butterfly
entity,
effect.
yeah. The entity is basically cursing and granting eternal life. The killers were mutilated, captured, tortured into being the entity's great servants, to where they need to hunt you down as the survivors, the victims, and sacrifice you.
I know. Where do you find Michael Myers? Like, how do you find him? Like, you don't. I don't like. I know it's just a game, but like, you don't really just.
Well,
go
it's
around.
it's basically copyrighted. See,
the story
the
behind
killers
Nightmare?
before. Well, I mean, it's Freddy. He was do you know the actual story behind him? Like, is it Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
died inside of. He got burned down
Yeah,
inside of a
he
house.
was basically a child pervert that got burned to death,
Yeah,
and then he haunts the dreams of children and actually killed them in real life for some reason.
yeah.
Dude, where are you guys? I had literally seen him a long time. And... Also,
Okay, well,
are
just
just
so you
hiding?
know, I've known where you are for a while.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Listen, I suck at killer. I told you that. I don't really like killer.
I'm not bad
That's
as
like-
killer, but I'm way better as survivor.
Okay, part of
There's
being
only two
Michael
people.
is
It's hard to find them.
you should
Alright,
stop
guys, I'm gonna
focusing
go.
so much on
See ya.
pressuring me. You should, you shouldn't stop pressuring
You
us,
are,
but you
you
shouldn't
guys.
focus so much on pressuring us. Your goal as the killer is to defend those generators. That's your goal. Okay?
Oh.
Austin,
Doing
you're
what
so
you-
stupid.
I
As
was
Michael,
turning
you
on my
don't have
light.
to be so close to somebody to stalk them.
Sorry, I was turning my light on. I didn't realize you were there.
Michael Myers is a very strong killer, and he can stalk you from a good distance. And he can stay concealed, because with Michael Myers, his terror radius is his advantage. He stays cloaked, he stays behind enemy lines. He's not a killer you need a trifle with.
How did I lose you so quickly?
Oh, yeah, you definitely
Evil
lost
Within
me.
1, your main goal should always be to try and grab survivors off of generators, or find survivors that hide in lockers.
Oh yeah, Austin, you definitely found me. How do you know I'm not just getting evil with an Austin from behind?
I know, I'm fine. I know you're there. I'm just
Intense,
trying
that's
to
fine.
Okay, I could see you, but like...
You shouldn't build so much Evil Within unless you're
Why?
using the fragrant tuft of hair.
Oh, that's what I'm using.
You might not even be able to, because with Michael
Yeah,
Myers,
you
there's
don't
only a
see it.
certain number of. With Michael Myers, there's only a certain number of stock that you can get. You might not even
Where-
be able to use the tuft.
I suck at this, dude. I suck at killers so bad.
You just
Never
need to
played
break.
Killers.
You think about being a survivor. You're thinking too much as a killer, not as much as a survivor. You need to think, what would I do in this situation? What would be my reaction to the position that you're in? Because if you notice, the first thing I saw when you broke line of sight is you weren't paying attention to me. You were trying to think, if I went around, I can catch him. Because you thought I was going to loop around. Instead, I crouched and I used urban evasion to go into the bushes. That way I could break line of sight.
Oh my god, how did I not?
You should always be thinking, what would I do? You know, there's always typical survivor things. If you play killer a lot, you'll notice typical survivor tactics. But if
I'm
you're
so
new,
good at killer. There's only two of you guys. So kind of hard to find two people.
So you're at a gigantic advantage with just two of us having to do this one generator instead of four, which is cool. But still, because you can pressure us if you choose to, right? Because if you're specifically choosing on going after one survivor, the other survivor can get a lot done. However, if you focus on protecting the generators more than you do wanting to kill the survivors, you will get more
That's what I'm
kills
doing.
because you're,
That's what
you're
I've been
taking
doing.
priority at protecting the
Yeah,
generators
yeah, yeah.
rather than going for the survivors. If a quick good killer tip is if you're running past, if you're chasing an injured survivor and you're running, like you see a Dwight or someone, right, sabotaging a hook or doing a generator, you will take that opportunity, or you should take that opportunity to hit that survivor and injure them. Because not only will you have the injured survivor go either looking for help or healing themselves because they don't feel safe anymore because one hit will bring them down. A second plus is now you have another injured survivor that you're chasing. So not only are you preventing one survivor from being in the game for a short amount of time, which is a very valuable amount of time. He's behind us, by the way.
How do you know that?
Because I turned around and saw you. I literally see you.
I know, I see myself too. I know that makes sense. I lost you guys already.
I know, I use sprint burst.
Like what you should also be looking for is like in a killer, if you know how to outmind game someone, you would win every engagement you get into, because mind games are the #1 thing that you have to focus on. As Michael Myers, when you're tier 1, you're very slow. That's not good for you.
I'm tier 2 though.
In tier 2, you have the ability to do so much more.
Oh, how did that miss?
I don't know how that didn't miss. I just don't understand how you didn't fucking
Listen,
I don't understand. No, I'm not saying that. Like, see, that was good. I'm not understanding how you didn't just walk past me. I'm so fucking
I knew
bad.
that.
No, because like you would have walked past me had you not been stuck. I don't know why I'm so fucking bad that I didn't get that you didn't. Oh, I got stuck. That's my fault. I got stuck. When you're playing any slow killer, your ability is what you rely on, right? So take the pig for example. She's not that slow of a killer, but she's very effective using her bear traps to delay a game. If you take a killer's ability away from them, they're no longer useful. You always have to decide whether or not it's, whether or not it takes priority for you to cover a generator or protect your own ability. At times, when you play this game, there are going to be people who will work together, team or not, to take advantage of you that way. You need to focus on who can do that and who can't.
I'm really good at
It's
using
your
my
own-
sprint burst when I need it. Like, I need urban invasion now. Run, run. He's stalking us. So, I mean, I would run.
See, I don't want to tell you. See, that's why I don't like to play. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, so as a killer,
That's what-
if you tunnel people, that's a bad idea. Because now, look at my situation. Am I going to be doing a generator anytime soon? Am I near a generator where I am? No. You basically give yourself an advantage because right now I'm healing myself, right? Because I don't want to get hit twice, or hit once and go down. I want to at least have the security of getting another hit in. And now you're chasing Mystic, right?
You can call
He's
me
down,
Austin, by the
I'm
way.
out of the game. Yeah, I'm out of the game, so to speak. You just downed Austin. Now I'm in a horrible situation. I've been hooked already. He hasn't been hooked yet. He's about to be. You can try and track me wherever I am, but you have the advantage right now. Even if I'm already healed, you already have Hex Hunter's Lullaby at 2, I think, right now.
Yeah. See, I don't even know. How do you trigger that by missing a skill check?
So with Hex Hunter's Lullaby, whenever a skill check comes up, it will automatically trigger, right? The time between the audio cue and the skill check shortens. When you get to 5, it becomes non-existent.
Okay.
Also, when you play the game, when you spawn in as a killer, you will chase after your totems. That is the first thing you want to do. Chasing your totems is the biggest key. You will do literally nothing else but that.
Alright.
Yeah, there's something I can do there. You basically, tunneling is the worst thing you can do.
What the heck?
What are you trying to do? Oh, Maury.
See,
That was a very bad decision on your part, because now you gave him the opportunity to take the hatch. I know you could close the hatch, but it's still, he could probably find it before you, which is a bad thing. If you would have hooked me, I would have been on my second hook. I would have been in danger of dying, and you would have gotten a better opportunity to find him, because obviously the first thing he's going to do is what? Go after me. The hatch?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, in that situation...
I want to know right now. Whenever he's jumping in the hatch, okay? Awesome, this right over here, by the way.
You can,
Oh, I thought you
can
were.
no longer...
Oh, I thought we were playing around. I didn't know we were still doing this.
Oh, no. Oh, the hatch is right over here, buddy.
Yeah, you can
So
no
whatever
longer
you-
grab people out of the hatch.
Oh, you can't?
No, you can no longer do that.
What do you think?
See, in this situation, it worked out, but let's say that there were 4 people, right? And let's say 2 of them died, you're now in a situation just like we are, 1 generator, there's 2 of us. And let's say, for starters, you didn't know where the hatch was, he didn't know where the hatch was, and let's say it was in a completely different spot.
Mm-hmm.
You never want to take a chance in that situation, at all. The first thing, oh, by the way, using both those add-ons at the same time is a horrible idea.
What?
Fragrant Affair and Judas Tombstone.
Why?
Because you gain literally no fucking stock.
That's probably why I didn't get. Okay, that's fine.
Because you stack 2 tremendously's.
Yeah? I don't see that.
Okay, do you know when it says slightly, moderately, considerably, tremendously? Okay, well you literally just doubled on 8 stacks of that.
Awesome.
Which is why it took you
Do I don't
literally
really want to be
forever.
killer.
I'm not being killer again. Let's do
Yo.
some killer.
So, yeah, I guess I'll step up again.
Alright.
Wait, what?
I'll play a different killer this
Oh
time.
my god, we're gonna die. What?
Oh, chill. I'm not a great killer.
Bro.
I heard Dagan. Do you have
No.
to get off after this match or something?
Oh, that one perk that I had on, it was called Medal of Man. After getting hit 3 times by killer's basic attack, the perk activates. Once activated, the next occasion that would put you in the dying state from the injured state is ignored. So that's why it didn't work.
Yeah, basically in that situation, you never want to chance the other person finding the hatch. You can prevent them from finding the hatch. That's the best opportunity you have. And you could have done that. Because you both didn't know where the hatch was. I was going to be on my last hook before I died. Right? So you would have had enough time it took to pinch me between him and the hatch.
Mm.
And now you're putting him in a situation as to where I need to find the hatch, or do I save my friend? Either way, you have a head start to both finding the hatch, finding him, and killing me. You see where the benefits are?
Mhm.
Yeah, you always want to pressure a survivor. If you take a little bit of pressure off of any survivor, they'll immediately take that chance to basically beat you.
I just felt lucky there.
Now, I used to main this killer, but I haven't played her in a long ass time. No.
What? Is that the
I
hag?
played her before I played Nurse.
If you could see my face, like, honestly, I would be like, oh, I don't know who it is now. Because I know you said you did play the hag.
I did. I didn't
I'm so
main
bad
her, I
at
never
hitting
mained her. You'd be surprised because I'm not using a perk you think I'd use with this person.
Oh, it's the hunters?
You see my bloody clothes?
No.
Oh, Spring
I
Burst?
can hear you. But he always
Yeah, I'm very bad, by the way. Oh, I totally forgot that happens. Oh, I'm so bad. Yeah, also, that animation lock thing, Austin, you never want to do that. You never want to do that. Drop a pallet on a huntress who has a hatchet up. I'm fucking horrible at this game, but yeah. Wait, did I just see a... Really?
No. Wait, I don't know how to use the
What are you
flashlight. How do you use
doing?
it? I don't ever use
The
I've never used the
flashlight?
flashlight before.
Okay, hold on. Let me teach you how to use the flashlight.
How do I use the flashlight?
Come here, Austin.
I'm here. How do I use it?
Yes, okay. So, eye down Austin, right? This is how you... Okay. First of all, when you're going to aim the flashlight, make sure you have a good idea, a general idea, of where it's going to go, okay? When I pick him up, I want you to be a decent distance away. Being right there will not help. I want you to aim for the bottom part of my mask.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
At the last second. Don't do it now. Don't do it now. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me drop him.
Oh my god.
You don't do it immediately. Okay? So there's gonna be this animation that happens. I'm gonna pick him up. When you see my arm move in the last animation before I start actually moving the body, that's when you start to blind me, okay?
Yeah.
Now. Yep. Well, I mean, you were a little bit late on it, but did you see the animation? Yeah, that's when you blind the person. Also,
I don't hear you.
yeah. So, that's pretty much all you do when you blind people.
Yeah, I only use the flashlight like 3 times in my life. I always use like methods.
Yeah, be very careful when playing against the Huntress, because whenever you play against like a ranged character, she is basically the queen of range. There's no distance you can get away from her that you're safe. Never assume you're safe. Also, never dead hard unless you know she's committed, because I could have immediately... Yeah, I suck at using these hatchets, but that's fine. Also, the hatchets are super finicky, so there are going to be hatchets that hit you that shouldn't hit you, and hatchets that should hit you that don't. So never be upset with this game over a hatchet, because let me tell you, there are other hatchets out there that you will definitely yeet over. Basically, when you use the flashlight, always aim for the neck. Always aim for the neck. For any killer you come across.
Awesome, really appreciate it. Good day. Get out of over here, because...
Oh, and also, whenever, because I know you're just starting to play killer, playing killer is way better than playing survivor.
Why?
You get more blood points, first of all, right?
Also, why not?
And yes, you will have moments, where you get basically eaten by survivors. Don't mind that. Just take that with a grain of salt, because there's always situations where you're going to be eaten by survivors. I mean, obviously I haven't retained all my skills as playing nurse, but when I first started playing her, you can best believe I was getting owned all the time. You don't just get good at a character, you have to earn that. But definitely, if you want more respect in this game, if you want to be amazing, the best way is to play killer. Knowing exactly what a killer does in a survivor situation, and knowing exactly what a survivor does in a killer situation, basically counts in every single game.
Hold on. You're a YouTuber.
Why do you assume that? Bro, I dropped it after 3.5, I guess. And I came back like 4 years later. I've basically played this game since day one.
Dude, you need to make a tips and tricks video. That's what you need to do.
I mean, I can. Like, I can tell you everything right now. Like, even what survivor is good for what situation.
Meg, answer that question. Meg.
Okay, so for Meg, see, you know how a bunch of different characters, they have different abilities, but at the same time, survivor's abilities don't exactly matter because of teachables, right? That's completely right and completely wrong at the same time. Because let's say, for instance, you're playing as Nia. Nia has a very quick turn radius, but she's very slow. When she's using sprint bursts, there's a bunch of different things that happen when you play as different survivors. But as different killers, everything becomes a lot worse, right? So your teachable perks as a killer are always essential. Just like Survivor, when you're a Survivor, you want to pick a perk that helps you, like that saves you from a chase. So an exhaustion perk, like Balanced Landing or Adrenaline, something like that. A perk that saves you late game, also Adrenaline, and also like Lithe, another exhaustion perk. As killer, you always want to have a braced frame. So like for me, when I would play Nurse, I would constantly have Overcharge. Overcharge is the doctor perk that you should know about. Basically, it will give you a really difficult skill check as soon as you go on a destroyed generator. And if you fail it, you get a 5% reduction, and I know exactly where you are.
Why'd you leave?
That's beautiful. Well, because everyone else left, so I left. And plus, I have a headache, so I'm gonna leave after I explain everything. When you're playing the nurse, the only thing that you want to do is close distance survivors. Because survivors feel safe at a distance. Every survivor should feel safe at a distance, except for when you're playing with Huntress. If you're in an open field with a Huntress, you should never feel safe unless you break line of sight. Or unless she doesn't notice you. As a nurse, you're supposed to spread panic. That's the whole point of being a nurse. It's not stalking generators, stalking survivors. You always want to be on top of every single situation, and it's hard to do, but it's possible. With Overcharge, you can control the generator game extremely easily, because when you fail a skill check, what do you think is going to happen? The killer's going to go straight towards you, right? Every single time when you fail a skill check, what's your thought? That. When every survivor fails that, which ones are going to stay on the generator, which ones are going to go off? A smart survivor would say, I'm going to take my chances and stay on the generator, right? Hopefully I won't get grabbed off, but if this works and the nurse goes after a different survivor who'd pick the overcharge, I'm going to get a lot of progression on this gen. Every normal survivor would say, I'm not going to come back here, I'm going to go work on another generator, because I don't want to get caught by this nurse. If you get overly cocky when playing hard to play killers, you will fail. If you are under-leveled, under-skilled, your skill cap isn't high enough to play that certain character, you shouldn't feel ashamed. It's hard to play, yes, but with perks, it's a lot easier. Everyone understands that. So like, now you have a generator control game, Overcharge. I also use Nurse's Calling. Nurse's Calling is basic on literally every killer. Overcharge and Nurse's Calling are good perks on literally every single killer in the game. However, it works really well as a combo with the nurse because, well, one, you can teleport, so it's not like they will be able to run once they notice that you know where they are because of Nurse's Calling. With Overcharge, if you ping an injured survivor, the injured survivor thinks that they're safe and they start healing, you'll know exactly where they are. You'd be surprised how many times that happens.
Yeah.
Next, I have No One Escapes Death. If you get plowed as a killer sometimes, you want No One Escapes Death. It is an easy endgame perk. Easy. Unless survivors destroy all of your totems, which literally never happens, No One Escapes Death is your best friend, especially on Nurse, because the only way that you can attack people is with your basic attack. Teleport is just the ability, right? You'll be able to one-shot people all the time, and you have a teleport. You're basically hacking. NOED is beautiful on her. Now, the last perk that's beautiful for every killer that I use is Barbecue and Chili. Obviously gives you a 100% increase in blood points, which is fantastic. But it also shows the auras of survivors 40 meters away from you, at least. What's fantastic about that is, if you're in a late game situation, and you know there's a survivor that you can probably ping with Barbecue and Chili, you can close the distance on them, even though you don't think you will, way faster than it would be if you had no idea where they were. Because if you have a general idea where they are, you can end up finding them before they get the hatch, because the hatch will almost always spawn near you.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind when you're playing as the nurse. It's always mind gaming and making sure you keep pressure on survivors. Closing distance is your best friend. You never want to not use her ability. Now, moving on to other killers like the Trapper. A lot of people actually ask me why do people play the Trapper? He seems so boring. He seems so pointless. The Trapper, everyone misjudges him, I should say. Nobody plays the Trapper the way he should be played. And I understand that, since as base stats, he's the best killer in the game. Right? He's the fastest, he has the best, most balanced lunge range. His arc, when he swipes, is the most accurate. And his turn radius is extremely fast, and it's also easily reactive. He's also a killer in which closes distance at an acceptable rates. He's fast, but he's not too fast. You're quick with reacting with him because the range in which the pallets can hit him is shorter than most killers.
Yeah.
Keeping that in mind, his 3 teachable perks, I didn't talk about the nurses, but the only one that you would want to use is Nurse's Calling. Strider and Thanatophobia aren't that great. But with the Trapper, he would be the only person I would say you want to use his teachable perks with. Like, all of his perks. Because all of his perks are freaking fantastic. Agitation, allowing you to transport people to hooks faster, amazing. You don't ever need to use Iron Grasp. Always use Agitation. Unnerving Presence, making people fail skill checks or making people think that if they need to stay on the generator for at least a little bit longer, will give you that edge you need. Because first of all, you're a fast as fuck killer. You're fast as fuck, boy. You know, that 1 second they think they can get that skill check on that gen is 1 more second you have to touch them in the butt with your, you know, your big ass sword. Whatever that is, a cleaver. And then Brutal Strength, if you get yeeted on by a pallet, it takes you not even a second to break that pallet. So like, why would you not use Brutal Strength?
Yeah.
Also, the whole point of his traps is for you to corral people into the traps. Because you waste so much time chasing them down, even though you're a fast and good killer. You can literally lessen that by corralling people into your traps. It's easier than you think it is. Because if you know the typical route a survivor will go, like let's say they use the God Pellet in the basement shack, if you trap it, or trap the brush around it, that's an easy win, that's an easy catch. You just literally saved yourself 2 to 3 minutes of your time fucking crying over killing that person, while everyone else was doing generators. The whole point of the Trapper is to be agile, but smart. Best playstyle versus most survivors. So just keep in mind, fast and smart, the best general killer to play in the game, is the best all around. With the Wraith, I've played him since day one. There's been a lot of differences. Beforehand, you weren't able to open lockers, damage generators, all that stuff. He was a very weak killer. Now, I can't imagine someone more strong than the Nurse or the Huntress. First of all, he's moderate with the way he runs, right? His speed isn't that much. His movement speed is actually quite slow, but way faster than the Nurse. He's... I don't really know how to explain it. His lunge range is poor. His turn radius is poor. He's bad, generally. Generally, he's horrible, right? He's pretty much absolute jack shit. But his invisibility makes him a god. Because yes, you can see him from a fair distance away, but who's gonna take a second to take more than 1 or 2 glances in a certain direction before changing the way that they look? The Wraith is the easiest character to sneak up on people with, and that's his best freaking weapon, because as soon as he comes out of invisibility, he gets a short burst speed, so even if you have sprint speed, like even if you have sprint burst, you're not gonna be able to, you know, break line of sight with him. You're not going to be able to get away from him, because he'll be like, I'm fast as fuck, boy. He'll catch up to you and touch you with that spine of his. So like, you know, you think you got away from him, nope, he gonna get you. And not just that, now that he has the ability to break generators, now that he has the ability to break pallets, now that he has the ability to open lockers, he's even more powerful. Because he doesn't have to break his invisibility to find you. So if you're solo queuing, he doesn't have to let his position be known to other players in the game. He can just catch you, throw you on a hook, and be like, I'm here, boy, let me find you now. He's very stealthy. He's absolute crap in chases, but, you know, that's whatever. Because like I said, what's the main question that you have to answer? Does your ability help in the chase? The reason the Nurse is so freaking good is because hers is the #1 ability to help in a chase. The Wraith's ability doesn't help you in the chase unless you want to close distance, but even then, you're still going to be a fair distance away when you uncloak. With the Trapper, you can corral people into your traps. Now with the Hillbilly... Oh, this country road looking motherfucker. Diabetes infested rat anus motherfucker. I hate this guy. With all of my heart, I truly hate this guy. Now, I play him, yes.
Okay, listen.
Who?
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe at one point in my life, I'll, like, put out a video. But, like, honestly, you could just watch any other YouTube video. If you need tips and tricks, or if you need to know how to play a certain killer or survivor, or need to know how to use a certain perk or item, I can help you out with that. It's not really that hard.
What's
Anything
this
is easily learnable.
How's the best way to play Dwight? 'Cause that's my main.
He's a team player. When you play as Dwight, you always want to make sure you have survivors on check. So using Bond, I mean, you don't always have to, but using Bond is the best way to find survivors and keep tabs on them. And using Leader while you're around other survivors, now it doesn't stack anymore, but using Leader around other survivors helps you a lot because it allows them to do things faster. Literally anything. That's why he's a team player. And then also, if you have... oh my god, what is it? If you have... What's his other perk? I know what his other perk does, I just don't know what it's called.
Prove they self.
Yeah, so while you're around other survivors, it helps your action speed, right?
Mhm.
Dwight is best suited for team plays that rush generators, because when you have 3 survivors doing a generator, and you guys are all using toolboxes, in general, it takes you 80 seconds to do a generator with just good skill checks. With great skill checks, all of them, if you get a good decent run of at least 4, it will take you 40 to 50 seconds, right?
Mhm.
If you do good skill checks with 3 survivors on a generator, and you have Prove Thyself and Leader on, it will take you a fat 25 to 30 seconds to do that generator. Think about that for a second.
Yeah. That's oof. Okay, so I have one question.
Yeah.
What should I put on, Borrowed Time or Leader?
Well, once again, it's conditional. It depends on what you're comfortable with. Because if you find yourself around people often, Leader is definitely a good way to go. Because even if you're not in line of sight, Leader will activate when you're around people, right? So people will understand there's a survivor near me, maybe I can help them do something.
Mhm.
With Borrowed Time, when you unhook a survivor, 90% of the time the killer will go for you because the survivor is immune, right? If some random thing happens to where the killer wants to hit the survivor, Borrowed Time will work, yes. It's been nerfed a little bit, but in the long run, it really helps some survivors that get tunneled often. So if you see a lot of tunneling, I would go ahead and use Borrowed Time. If you see a lot of, if you see yourself around a bunch of survivors a lot of the time, I would say go ahead and use Leader. But if you find your other perks more relaxing and good for you to use, think of which ones work best with Leader or Borrowed Time. Like, you shouldn't always just use Borrowed Time if you're going to, like, jump in, YOLO, save a survivor, and then leave them, right? Because then the survivor will still get targeted.
Yeah.
If you want to use Leader all the time, bring a toolbox. Like, you don't always have to keep one basic loadout. And remember that, because a lot of people do that all the time. You don't have to keep the same loadout when playing as a survivor. That's the beauty of these perks. It doesn't matter if they're level 3 or not, as long as they're decent perks, right?
Yeah.
You can use, you can use Borrowed Time 2. You can use Leader 2. They're not as fantastic, but they're still good perks, right? Yeah. Urban Evasion 2, Urban Evasion 1. You still move 90% faster at Urban Evasion 1, which is a fantastic buff, right? Balanced Landing, 1, 2, or 3. When you fall, you recover immediately. You don't have to stop when you fall like all the other survivors do. I can't preface you how important it is for you to vary your approach, because you will never find a single match in which every single perk works, in which your loadout works for every situation. There's not a perk like that. There's not a loadout like that. Now, you can get good at this game and you can find yourself surviving a lot easier, but you will always come to a situation where you'll die. And you have to think about, how could I play that differently? With my perks or without them?
Okay.
What killer do you main if you play killer?
I used to do Pig, but I'm trying to get back into Huntress.
Okay, so I already explained Huntress and Pig a lot, but do you know how Huntresses are countered?
Yeah.
Yeah, so behaving erratically, yes, will often stun a Huntress, but a lot of Huntresses will counter that with their own behavior, because when you behave erratically, they'll behave equally as erratically. 50% of the time, they'll hit you. and that's a pretty big percentage.
Yeah.
The best way to counter a huntress is to break line of sight. That is the best way by far to counter a huntress because she's a slow killer. She's not a very fast killer. Her lunge range isn't that fast at all, although you can't really 360 her. If you have no other options, yes, go for a 360. But she's not a killer you can easily 360. Unless she's absolutely retarded, she will hit you every time. Because remember, when she swipes, she goes in a slant, right?
Mhm.
That end of the slant, if she turns her screen literally not even like 30 degrees, which is literally a little bit,
Yeah.
she can still hit all the way behind her, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, when you're playing Huntress, keep in mind that you have a lot of advantages as well as disadvantages, just like any killer. But the one thing you want to keep in mind when you're playing any killer is pressure. Always. Because when you're intimidating players, when you're making them panic and make stupid mistakes, you already won that game. It's just the amount of time it takes for you to put that survivor on that hook.
Okay.
As the Huntress, you always have to predict someone's movements. Because
Yeah.
you have to close distance on them, the best way to close distance is to use your hatchet. Because yes, you're moving a little bit slower, but what is the other survivor doing? Trying to turn around, trying to move left and right. They're not going to move in a straight line to get as much distance away from you. So that's the
Yeah.
best opportunity to close in on them, because now they're thinking, well shit, I have to break line of sight. I have to go a different direction than straight.
Yeah. That's what you see in that game we were doing when you were Huntress. When I was trying to run away from you, I don't know if you could see that, but I was trying to run zaggedly.
Uh-huh.
And
But you
got
did
me.
see how eventually I caught up to you, right?
Yeah.
In game, when you're playing against any killer, you never want to stick to the same technique more than once. If you juke someone out with a 360, I would literally use that as a last resort the next time you get in a chase with them. Try window juking, right? Try using the flashlight constantly. Try dropping a party starter. Anything else than what you just did in that situation, like moving erratically, but in a specific pattern, like you were moving left, right, so I caught you in the middle of left and right when I knew you were gonna be. Don't use that with every killer, because at the start you can go left, right, and then you can just start going left. Feign that you're gonna go right and then keep going left. Because then she's gonna be like, well, what the hell? He didn't do this last time. Now I'm panicking because I don't know, I'm not confident I'm gonna make this shot. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
So always think about what it's like to be on the other side of the hatchet. Or if you're the survivor, think about what it's like to be throwing it. Because that person is about as good as throwing the hatchets as you are. The only difference is the technique that you have in throwing it.
Okay. Alright, yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, just think of it as an easy, quick thought as to when you're making, super quick decisions. You always have to think, I'm not the only one making a decision here. I'm not the only one affecting my outcome.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, butterfly effect. But no, I'd be happy to give you a synopsis on different things. Like your strengths and weaknesses. It's not a character that you play in the game that defines your playstyle. It's your playstyle that defines the character.
Yeah.
Like you took for me, you saw me play Claudette. With her prestige clothes, she literally blends in like a ninja. I'm a stealthy type character. With you as a Dwight, you're a support character, right?
Yeah. Which is kind of weird, because like a lot of time when the killer's chasing me, 99% of the time I will kind of like juke them or hide, because I'm really good at hiding. Because if you saw what I had the black and blue face with the bloody t-shirt and black pants, because like I feel like that's the best to use for, and it blends in perfectly with a lot of things.
And not just using clothes to blend in. Think about all the opportunities you could have to outrun a killer. Like with Meg, with her teachables, not even that. She's just a very flexible survivor. She's so good at getting away from killers, and she's the one survivor that you should really fear, except for Lori, right?
Yeah, I've never seen Lori.
Survivors that you can commonly identify in their movements and their decision making will give you the ultimate advantage when you're playing against the other team. Because when you're playing Survivor, what do you think an experienced killer is going to think you're going to do? The same thing that you think the Survivor's going to do when you're in that killer position. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Alright.
It's a mental mind game because it's all about distance. You're never going to win a battle against any killer if they're right next to you. But if you have a fair amount of distance from them, you have that time to make a decision, which then affects their decision that they made for you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would always just take the time to, in any event, practice, you know, different survivors and using their abilities. You definitely want to main survivors and killers. Don't think that I'm saying you know, main a different survivor killer every day. No. Stick to a killer that you know you're good at. However, trying new killers and survivors will change your opinion of the game because you're seeing it from a whole new perspective. And who knows, you might find a new main because these other killers are freaking powerful or these other survivors are more suited for you.
Yeah, that's what I did. Because, see, first time, because I was watching YouTube and there was a guy who was explaining it like you were. And I spent like a week choosing out the survivor I wanted to be. First it was Claudette, and then I figured Dwight out. And then I did Huntress, then Pig, and then went back to Huntress. And then I've been just working Dwight out because that's like what I'm really good at. Because like, I'm good at doing both of what he's doing. Because like, I'm good at doing like being the leader part. Because I'm really good at like helping the people. And I'm also really good at hiding because he's always, that's his, what he's known for. He's really nervous and always hiding.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he's known for.
Are you gonna be on tomorrow?
Yeah.
Alright, hey, I'm gonna talk to you later, okay?
Okay.
Alright, see you. Alright. Bye.